Thank you for tuning in, everyone. Let's jump into it. So, welcome back to the Sober Grind, everyone. We're so excited to be doing this again, kicking this this off second week in a row, keeping the momentum going.
Capri.
As always, my name is Austin Armstrong, joined by my co-host Pejy Pej and the funky Pejy Pej and the Prince Bunch. So, today's topic, what are we talking about, Pej?
Today's topic is we are talking about social media and cell phones and how they can be dangerous in enabling people with their addictions. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Who would have thought, right? Who would have thought that this would happen?
Social media. So we're not talking about social media and cell phone addiction per se, but
not per se.
Hi, David. Not per se.
We're not talking about people that are addicted to social media and their cell phones, although that's a whole other topic with themselves. We're talking about social media and cell phones and how they can enable people's addiction.
Yes. So let's jump into it. So let's talk about cell phones first. Just having a cell phone, all of the things that enables. What are some of your thoughts on how that actually can enable drug addiction?
Okay, so I mean, back in my day, I've become like ancient all of a sudden, but there used to be a time when people would often depend on, if they were out in public, like you were driving a car and you didn't have cell phones. This is before pagers even, right? Pagers kind of became a little tool for people that were trying to get things for their addiction. But we'd pull over, we'd have to use a payphone. A lot of times we use payphones and we would call people like the drug dealer or call people to go over to their house and get certain things done. And so that's how we got by. These days it's more easily convenient. People have cell phones. Cell phones are, they're at our disposal. They're in our hands. They're in our pockets. They're in our cars. So we can use them to get things. We can call dealers. We could. A lot of kids are getting cell phones these days. Parents give their kids cell phones and pay for their bills and all that, and then they're not thinking that they're thinking like I'm giving this to my kid so that I can get a hold of the kid. They're not thinking about how the kid is actually could possibly take advantage of the cell phone and do bad things with it. What are those bad things, you ask?
Do tell.
So, I mean, a lot of kids these days think because in some states marijuana is legalized that they have the right to be able to go to a dispensary or order it on social media. And it's funny. Before I get into this, I want to say this. The other day, I posted something. It was from this app called Let Go, showing how people are actually obtaining drugs on there because there's certain code names for drugs. On Let Go.
Really?
And it's not. I mean, It's nothing new. This has been happening for a while. I think there's the more apps that come out for people that are trying to sell like marketable things, the more you'll see this. But I mean, this has been going on Craigslist for a long time too. Craigslist, you could get there was prostitution going on Let Go. I mean, on Craigslist. So drugs were readily available. I think about 6-7 years ago, I had a house up in LA where some kid was trying to jump on his laptop and get on there to. He was ordering tar roofing tar from a company to have delivered to the house. Now, since when do roofing companies deliver tar to like?
Right.
So I saw this kid like he was really trying to get to his computer so that he could do that. When I caught him in the process of it, I had him come clean and tell me like what it was all about. And he said that he was going to have some heroin delivered to the house. So that's what this has been going on. It's nothing new. Like for the person that's actually either caught someone in the act of doing this or people that have used these tools to be able to score and pick up, people are doing it. They know. But a lot of people, I got criticized the other day by some people that are like, nobody ever knew about it. Like, we never knew about this. Why are you broadcasting this stuff? Why are you talking about this stuff? And in reality, this isn't for the people. This isn't for like an addict who's on the fence with recovery to be able to learn new methods. An addict will learn how to find drugs, right? Like way back in the day, they used to actually have delivery systems where you would call somebody on a regular telephone and they would deliver drugs to you. I knew some of these people. I knew them very well, very closely. And they would come to your house, they deliver whatever you wanted. You tell them over the phone what you wanted. Now, these days, it's like at your disposal, right in your hand. You just click something, you choose what you want, and they'll deliver it to you. So this is bad. You know, like a lot of kids that are in high school right now think that because weed is legal, even though it's not legal in most states for 21, it's legal for 21 and over. For under 21, people will go on Weed Maps. There's an actual app called Weed Maps.
Yeah.
They'll deliver, you know, have different types of weed delivered to them. Back in the day, we didn't have those things, but you know, we would somehow get different flavors of marijuana, different types of potency, all this, that, and the other. These days, everything is made more convenient for the practicing addict or alcoholic. Questions, comments?
Yeah, so for everyone watching in too.
One of the hardest, most important things I did in early recovery. Hold on, what does he say? Over time in recovery, this has helped to easily cut negative people out of my social media. I respect what Aaron says. You know, in early recovery, the best thing to do is to get rid of all your so-called old friends, using buddies, right? It's good to delete them. You know, why have the connection when you can when you continue to carry the connection with those people? It might be a reservation within itself.
If anyone would like to share their experience on how social media or cell phones have enabled your addiction as well, we'd love to hear those as well, so we can positively spread that that experience to other people. Yeah. But let's keep going with it.
I want to talk about something. That's something that's very important here. So when I put that post out the other day, I had a guy come on there, and he was trying to kind of go at me and tell me that what I was doing was wrong on all levels. And being that I looked at his profile, it was a post about how it was about Let Go, and how people on the Let Go app were posting things like.
See, this is the first I've heard about it. That's crazy.
Okay, so
but
like
it doesn't surprise me.
There's code names for drugs, like methamphetamine. They call that Tina. It's been called Tina for a decade, right? So it's like, you know, crystal methamphetamine, Christina, Tina for short. So on the streets, like, they'll call meth Christina, or they'll call heroin like H or tar, or there's all different horse. You know, on the East Coast, I believe they call it horse. And so a lot of different people call these things different names. So on Let Go, when you look at the app, like if you look up and you see that it says Tina Turner tickets, that's actually code for you hit me up, I got crystal meth for you, right? So if the guy's selling Tina Turner tickets or like a jar of tar, then he's a heroin and a meth dealer. So this guy came at me the other day, and he was like telling me all this stuff about how, you know, this is all kind of like on all different levels, this is wrong because the addict that's watching this stuff might get ideas. And I'm thinking, the addict that's watching this stuff, if he's in active addiction, he's probably already knows about this stuff. And an addict that's in recovery that's watching this stuff is, you know, if you really are taking recovery seriously, then this stuff shouldn't be appealing to you. This should just be like your old life, and this is what you don't want to be doing. However, when I'm posting this stuff, there's a lot of parents out there that have their kids with cell phones, that are paying for their cell phones, paying for their data, paying for their apps, and these kids are downloading apps that they're basically taking advantage of their parents' privilege of giving them a phone to be able to get a hold of them, you know, and they're going on social media, and they're going on Weed Maps, or they're going on all these different sites, and they're now using these apps that their parents are paying for to be able to have like fentanyl or heroin or meth and all these different types of drugs delivered to them. And if they get their allowance money, which they don't have any rent to pay, they don't have any bills to pay, so they take their allowance money. And what kind of, you know, what kid that's doing meth is really going to want to use that allowance money for anything more than getting the drugs, or a kid that's doing heroin, or a kid that's starting to experiment and they're getting Xanax? And as we reported last week, more recently, a lot of the Xanax that's being distributed, like for example on Craigslist, isn't really Xanax. It looks like Xanax, but when kids are taking it, it's laced with other things like fentanyl, which is a total killer. It's all kinds of bad. So the internet and multimedia, social media, and these types of various outlets are not completely safe. However, they can also be used and utilized in a right way to be able to get the help that you need. Because if you're struggling, you can go on social media and find us, for example, or listen to us and learn in the podcast that we present or other people present what's good and what, you know, it's all about raising awareness, teaching people. If I was a parent and I had a kid and I was like, if I was paying for a cell phone, I'd want to know like what exactly is he doing on that cell phone? Is he a drug dealer? Is he buying from a drug dealer? These are things that if I'm going to pay for his for the cell phone, I want to know what he's utilizing it for. Is he really using it to be able to call us to come pick him up from like swim practice, or is he behind the school like calling his dealer and you know, exchanging money for drugs?
Yeah, I'm so happy you brought that up, and it's such a good point. And it, you know,
look what Jennifer just said right there. Jennifer Turner says, "I have videos of dealers meeting addicts in sober living homes in Orange County. I would love for you to show me some of those videos. That's And look, she also said black roofing tar. So again, that goes back to that's one of the code words. Black roofing tar. Carrie Lagarde says snow lift tickets. So these are like
That's
all
another good
code
one.
words on social media
Yeah.
that are hidden for for people to be able to buy drugs. Carrie says hi, Paige. Hi, Karen.
Yeah, this is why we're doing this podcast, folks. It's purely education. It's to help you. It's to help the parent. It's to help the loved one. If you're in active addiction, you're gonna find drugs. You're gonna find it regardless whether you know these specific code words or not. You have your way of getting that. But
Right.
so many of these, you know, just now in this podcast is the first time that I have ever heard of these things. And I'm going to assume that it's the first time that parents and other people have heard a lot about these things as well. So it's important to monitor your kids and your loved ones' cell phones if you even suspect that there's something like this going on, because there's just code words.
Absolutely, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with parents knowing exactly what their kids are up to. I got to say this, like, you know what I've more recently noticed is that there's some parents that know that their kids have misused their smartphones for many different reasons. Some of them are promiscuity, like when they're using it on Instagram, like they're young kids
Snapchat.
that are trying to pick up people, kids that are like getting on Tinder or people that are bullying on like cyberbullying. A lot of parents what they've resorted to is going back to getting their kids flip phones, to actually just getting them a phone that's intended for one sole purpose: calling on the phone. You know, not being on the phone, like looking, you know, daydreaming or not paying attention to class or using it for all the wrong reasons. Not to say that a flip phone can't be used to obtain drugs, because you can still call a person. But regardless, you know, right now a lot of parents are totally opposed to their kids being engulfed in their phones for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah. No, it's so true. And, you know, this is probably a little hypocritical from me because I did have a smartphone growing up that my parents and grandparents paid for. But, you know, if you're paying for it, you have the decision to, you know, make that choice if you want them to have a flip phone or not. And it also is potentially good incentive for them that if they would like to have a smartphone, you know, maybe they can work for it, earn the money, save the money, and then they can buy that phone themselves so that it's theirs.
Right. You know what I've also noticed, what's cool is that obviously there's parental, there's certain platforms where you can monitor what your kids are looking at. You know, and why not? Why shouldn't you be able to see if your kid like downloaded the Weed Maps app, he's 16 years old, why is he going and scoring weed and coming and smoking it at your house? So you're basically harboring an addict in the making, perhaps. You know, or even like through some cable TV. I have Cox Cable, and one of the homes that I run, I get to see who's on the internet and what they're looking at. That's really a handy tool. Like I want to see if they're shopping for drugs and things like that, you know?
Yeah. So awesome. Let's keep this going. If anyone watching right now or listening afterwards, if you have any questions about this topic, about how social media or cell phones can enable drug addiction, please feel free to let us know. If you'd like to share any of your experiences, let us know as well. Leave some comments.
Look right
We'd
there.
love to highlight them.
Aaron Spar wrote, Roxy board shorts, size 30. What do you think that means?
Yeah.
What do you think it means? Tell me what you think it means.
30 milligram Roxy's.
That's right. And then right here,
that's an easy one.
Flocking for your Christmas tree is a huge one, especially around Christmas holiday season. See that, like, addicts are creative. Like when they want to sell their drugs, there's a meaning behind what they do or what they put out there. And in order to draw people in or to know. If you know this lingo, if you know this code, then it's not hard to find. You go on Google and just type in code names for drugs. You'll find that stuff. Or code names for drugs on online sources. So ladders for sale. I wonder what that one means. Jennifer, what does ladder stand for? Something that elevates you, perhaps? Some kind of stimulant, perhaps? Yeah.
Awesome. Let's keep going. Yeah, if you have any other
this broadcast, he's on every week. Jack Motley's, one of the founders of SEC, or he's been part of SEC for a long time. Great man has helped countless people. I love when the old timers tune in and they see that they have paved the way for us to continue to carry the message of hope. Look, she said,
I love it. I haven't, Jack, if you're in here, I haven't met you personally, but I've only heard great things. So the legend of Jack Motley lives on. Right. Let's keep going. Let's pivot over to social media a little bit. So this is a topic that we have discussed a little bit in the past, mostly about how it can be a helpful resource with all of the great recovery-oriented groups and pages, much like everything that we're doing with Sober Grind, as well as Beginnings Treatment Centers. But let's talk about some of the negative aspects, so parents and other people know as well. And if anyone's listening or watching as well, let us know some of your experiences with this. But Pej, go ahead. What are some things that you've seen as far as social media? And it doesn't just have to be Facebook. It can be YouTube or Snapchat or TikTok now, or any platform.
Right, are we talking about positive or negative?
Talking about negative. So how have you seen social media in particular lead or enable drug addiction?
Well, I think we've talked plenty about how. Look, there's people on YouTube. YouTube can be utilized and for many different benefits, and also for a lot of negative learnings, right? I see that Bill Wall just wrote, you could have a great discussion about how technology enables recovery as well. Absolutely. And what we were thinking about.
Absolutely.
Let me put it to you this way. For one, we've already gone over the apps, right? For two, there's on YouTube, it shows you how to do drugs. So if somebody types in how do you smoke meth or how do you shoot heroin, it's all there, right? So this is very, any curious child or any kid may actually, how do you look when you're on drugs, right? Or here, let us show you how to commit suicide. They do these things, right? So that's very negative. Now, I don't really want to. Now we've talked about that, and people will get curious. But ever since I first got the internet and I started to learn that you could Google your own name, you go and you look at yourself and you see oh my God, all this stuff is out there. Everything, it's information, highway. Everybody knows everything, and there's so many, and it's not always all true, but there's a lot of reasons why it can be very negative. You know what? One of the things that I see that's very negative about phones in general is when people are in treatment, the number one thing that they're fixated and focused on when they want to do anything but recovery is get to their phone. Because if they get to their phone, they will utilize that phone for all the wrong reasons. A phone can have their credit card history, it can have their debit card history. It can help them be able to go out and use it money-wise. You can call people. You can get people to come and get you somewhere to another place. It can help you get into a motel room. It can help you score drugs. All these different, so they're fixated on just getting to the phone. The second you take the phone away from them, they become desperate. They scurry. They don't know what exactly to do. So they're running around just saying, I want my phone, I want my phone, I want my phone. You take the phone away, everything changes. They depend, it's not even a phone addiction. It's the addiction of what they can get out of the phone, right? So that's very bad. And so social media, phone, all that stuff. Right? So, but as far as what Bill said, and I really like this, is that the positive things that I see that social media can be used for is Mothers Against Addicts or Mothers Against Addiction. People always add me to a lot of different groups on a national level, and often, I can't keep up with all of them, but I notice that the more that there's those type of groups out there, the more awareness that can be spread. We can talk to people that are struggling. We can talk to people that have lost their kids or their loved ones to addiction. We can talk amongst each other. We can talk about how we help each other heal, how we grieve together. or how we prevent from our other kids from falling down and getting into heavy drugs, or what do we do to prevent them to continue on? You know, so it can be used in many different positive and negative ways. I believe social media has a lot of its perks, and it can be used positively, but obviously, like, we knew in the very beginning when this was all unfolding, and we're seeing it now, how it can be used negatively too. It's up to the individual, right?
Yeah.
I admire people. I admire people that often will say, "I'm taking a break from social media for a while," because try to put your phone away for a day and go and live a regular life and just go throughout life and just be with the world as it used to be before we had all of these distractions. Social media is a major, major distraction. There's people that, I mean, negatively can even be used negatively for dating, right? Like a lot of people
Sure.
they get addicted to swiping right, swiping right, swiping right, and then they find some person online. They go out and date that person. They may be rejected. Something beautiful may come out of it. They might gain a restraining order. They might have a homicidal attempt, both on themselves or to them. All these different things can come out of it. So it can definitely, there can be some negative downfalls. It can ruin your self-esteem. It can make you very sad of not being who you want to be. Someone's knocking on this door. I think we need to check out.
Okay, let's wind down here. I want to highlight Jennifer's comment here of Venmo to dealers for poaching from rehab and interrupting care. My cat's going crazy in the background here. Yeah, I mean, there's so many different cash apps and so many different ones to pay attention to.
Yes,
it's crazy. There's a million different apps. And just to follow up on Pez, your last point there is that, you know, sometimes we don't even realize that it's an addiction until we try and take it away. So if you know, just leave the house without your cell phone purposely, and then, you know, we all get those like phantom vibrations in our pockets, thinking we have a new notification when there's nothing there. And even if there's not a phone in your pocket, it's still kind of, you think there's something going on there.
That's
so
right.
It's very addictive, and it absolutely is a strategy, or distraction. One more comment here, and then we'll wrap up. Carrie says, in my opinion, getting the word out, spreading the word through any and all aspects is far more powerful and effective than harboring the ins and outs of the different avenues addicts take to acquire. Absolutely. Ignorance is bliss does not apply in this domain. We must combat the ignorance that is unfortunately too fluent in the addiction realm. Very well said.
We need to wake up, man. We need to use these platforms, any kind of social media, to put the word out there, because the reality of it is that people are using heavy drugs that are killers, and we need to be able to let people know what's out there, how easily accessible it is, how people use social media to get some of this stuff. I mean, come on, fentanyl's in all 50 states, and people are buying it online. So people need to wake up, like truly wake up and know about this stuff. We got to use this stuff effectively and let people know, you know, how we can prevent more deaths from happening. If we get the word out, people learn. When people learn, you know, knowledge is key for people to know what we're up against.
So well said, Pej. Thank you, everyone. So if you'd like to help our mission of spreading positivity, spreading awareness about recovery, feel free to share this podcast, share this video with someone that you think it would positively impact their life. That means the world. It helps us grow. And if you would be so kind as to help us with a review on iTunes, we would love to know how we're doing. Let us know how we can improve this podcast. Write a review, please. And lastly, if you or anyone you know need help with addiction or recovery, you can always reach out to Pej. You can reach out to me. You can send him a message on Facebook, or you can email him at Pej at pej@beginningstreatment.com. You can also call Beginnings Treatment 24/7 just to talk to someone, just to get some help, just to get some answers at 800-387-6907. We create a ton of amazing resources on there. There's never any pressure. We just want to help. That's all we want to do.
That's right.
So,
we'll help
Pej,
you walk life.
Thank you so much again.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Sober Grind out.